Okay guys, I wanted to show you the guns that I have and what I like about them and perhaps some advice on the type of guns you should get. So before we start this, I just want you to know I do live in New York. If you do live in a more of a freedom state, you certainly would have a wider choice of which guns to get. That doesn't apply to me. I'm stuck with what I have, and this video is not about different laws. It is what it is. And just to show you, so first of all, the first gun that I have is my Henry Golden Boy Deluxe. It really is a beautiful, beautiful gun. And just to show you, it has this beautiful, beautiful wood, really nicely polished. And it has this. This is not brass. I think it's called brass light. It's engraved because it's the Deluxe. If you wanted, they would put your name over here, but they can only write in the English language, so that's just one limitation. The wood here is beautiful. This is more of that brass light. This is the blued steel. It's beautiful. Now, why did I get this gun? Well, I'm pretty new into guns. I got this about 2 years ago when I was just interested in getting a gun, and I thought that this would be a very good gun to introduce yourself and your kids to guns. I don't have a history with guns. I don't have a family history. I don't have that many friends with guns. So at the time, looking back 2 years ago. So I decided to get this gun because it seemed like this would be a fun gun, as I would call it, and also a good training gun so you could work your way up to other guns. And I'll tell you what transpired. So basically, I got this gun and I ordered it on the internet and shipped to the local FFL, and I really was impressed immediately, as I said, by how beautiful this is. And I wanted to talk to you just about some of the modifications that I made with it. The first thing I did, the least of it, was I put a leather strap here on this. You can see I ordered this leather strap. I put it on. I think one issue is this area where you put your four fingers. It's a little tight. Maybe the bigger loop might be better. I'm not sure. I've never had a bigger loop. It's okay. But you definitely need the leather because otherwise your fingers are going to be rubbing against this steel and it's going to rub it down, which is no good. So that was one thing I added. The other thing I added, which I found helpful, is I added this hammer expander. So when you're cocking it or whatnot, or releasing it, it gives you a better grasp. You have a lot to grasp on. You can grab onto this. And of course, the first thing you do is you check to make sure it's empty. But when you're releasing it, you pull the trigger, you hold this. It's a lot to hold on to now, and you could release it. And then apparently there's a half cock safety where you pull it back a drop, and you feel it click. This clicked. I felt it when I did that. And now you cannot pull the trigger. So that's good. That's a good safety. For my kids, I have a almost 15-year-old boy and now a 19-year-old girl. So this goes back about 2 years from now. I would basically tell them, just leave it open like that. If you leave it open like that, as you can see, you don't have to worry about it. It's obvious. You could see that it's safe. It's not possible for it to go off because this pulls the entire mechanism out. So the hammer and everything can't possibly go off. So that's good. That's just good. And so I just wanted to show you about a couple of things that I've changed on it. So I showed you the leather strap, the hammer expander. The other thing that I've found to be very effective is I took off the, I think it was a buckhorn sight, which is, I think it's over here. It looks like a screw fell out, one of the little screws. Okay. I'm not sure. And then I took off that buckhorn sight and I put on the Skinner sight, the Skinner Express, just to show you. Now, the Skinner Express you have to either yourself drill and tap 2 screws on here. And the only negative is it's nicely inscribed, detailed on the top of the brass light. And so the Skinner Express kind of covers that. So you have to drill and tap this brass light. And the truth is, for myself, I'm not an expert. I'm not a gun expert. I do work with tools. I am comfortable with some power tools, and some work. I can do some basic work. So it kind of carries over. If you're working with guns, that expertise will carry over, and you'll feel more comfortable than someone who isn't handy. So, but the truth is, with this, I still didn't feel comfortable drilling holes into this. So what I did was I took off this shell. It's just a couple of screws, 4 screws, and it's not an FFL part. So you can just ship it to Skinner, and they drilled and tapped this this front sight onto it, and they sent it back. Skinner is fantastic. They did a great job. I don't remember what it was. The installation was probably like $40, $50 or something. Well worth it. So I don't have to start up with it or be nervous about it. They put it on exactly in the center. The other thing that they did that I didn't go for, I got it, but they have a new front sight, which I put on, and the problem is it's all brass. They say it's more visible. I'm not so sure about that, if it's more visible, but the thing is, it's also taller, and it was throwing off my aim. So I put back on the original one, and I found that I actually prefer the original one, because if you could see, it has a little brass bead in the front, which is very visible, and it's a good contrast when you're looking through this. And this is, by the way, this is in 22 LR, before I forget. And so you have over here the Skinner front sight, and there's different size apertures that you can put onto this. I've put on, I'm not sure if it was a number 7. I had a bigger one, and then I put in a smaller one, which tightened it up, the field of vision, made it smaller, so that you can more accurately see what you're shooting at. And this, with the original Henry front dot, the front sight is just fantastic. I mean, I can tell you, I can't say enough nice things about this gun. I just can't. It's fantastic. With the Skinner sights, which I really wish Henry would just include or integrate somehow, this gun is as accurate as you can see. If you can see it, you can hit it. I mean, obviously it's not a magnified sight. Your vision is limited, but whatever you can see, you can hit with this. It's really amazing. So the other thing you should know, just in general about this gun, is that it's great because it's a great first gun, especially for kids. I can only speak in New York. On Long Island, there's a gun range where it's run by the police, and they let you, if you have your hunter certificate, you can take a 12-year-old and up to that gun range. And you shoot paper targets, which is okay. It's obviously you prefer shooting real targets, but so with this gun, you can take a 12-year-old, you can take your son's friends, and it's a great experience. So what's good about this gun is every round that you fire, you have to lever it. Each time, fire, lever it, fire. So there's really a cost to every time a youth or someone is taking a shot. So in other words, if you have a semi-automatic rifle, the kid's just like shooting, and the only thing they're learning is you just have to shoot a lot. But with this gun, what it's teaching you is you're putting effort into firing every round. So it teaches you that every round is important. Okay, and so that's a great lesson for kids to learn, and they do learn it. They learn that every shot counts because you're paying for it with having to lever this back and forth. I will tell you, the only issue that I think you'll have with a 12-year-old that I was going back and forth on is that this gun is somewhat long. It's heavy. I think it weighs about 8 pounds. And the issue is when you have a 12-year-old, it's heavy for a 12-year-old. It's just, they get tired. So you have to have either a rest that they can rest it on. I mean, there were times I would just hold it. I would stand here and hold it, and then the spent rounds would would hit me in the face and whatever. But the point is, if you have to choose between this or the youth model. Now, like I said, there's actually several models. You have this model, which is the fancier Golden Boy Deluxe. You have the non-engraved and the simpler wood, I believe, just the Golden Boy. And then you have the Golden Boy Youth, which is shorter, which probably goes, I think, to about here, and weighs, I think, like 2 or 3 pounds less, which makes a big difference. And that's really great for kids. But as you know, and as I'm seeing, the difference in age between a 12 and a 15-year-old, in those 3 years, these kids grow tremendously. I mean, tremendously. So now I have a son who's almost 15. He can handle this rifle. It's not a problem. So if you buy the youth model, after 2 or 3 years, what are you really going to use it for? So that's kind of the decision I made, and I just went with the full model, and we worked together for a couple of years, and now I'm happy that I have this model. So, is there anything else to see? I will tell you, I do use different rounds of different types of ammunition, and I have this is a 22 LR. I have it just in the brass. Well, basically what happened is I bought a second gun that I'll show you in January of 2019, right before the pandemic, and I was buying rounds for that, and thank God I bought I think I bought about 1,500 rounds for that. And while I was looking, I said, let me see what's happening with the 22 LR. I'm looking at the 22 LR, and I'm like, and there was it was on Target Sports USA. It was like 5 cents a round. I think it was, I bought 5,000 rounds. It was a case of 5,000 rounds, free shipping. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm just going to buy it, whatever. And I'm so happy because now I have enough rounds. And I'll show you the rounds. It's basically, before that, you can, with this gun, I mean, there were days I put in like 600 plus rounds. We have the family over and everybody's shooting, and you're just loading it up. And I mean, this gun holds about 17, I think, plus one in the chamber, give or take one. You're holding at least 17 rounds in here. I mean, you could say, look, it's only 22 LR, it's weak, and it's not 5.56, it's not 308, it's not a million other rounds. And that's true, and you want to call this a fun gun and whatever. But I will tell you, for home defense, if this is all I had, if this is it, this is the only thing I had, I'd feel pretty good. Because say what you want, and it's not semi-automatic or whatnot, but you can really pump out those rounds, I would say about as fast as you can with a semi-automatic gun. I mean, and you can pump out many rounds, even at 22 LR. It's going to be deadly, all right? I mean, and the truth is, if you're pointing this at someone, I mean, no one's going to look at you and say, what is that round? Is that 22 LR, or maybe it's 22 Magnum, or is that 5.56? I can't really see. It's dark. Oh, it's only a 22 LR. I'm going to fight you. I mean, it doesn't work that way. I mean, it just doesn't. And if you fire one round, the person's gonna want to leave. I mean, that's how most home encounters are. And basically, I even said to my son, who's almost 15, I said, if you have to protect the home and I'm not around, don't grab the Ruger Mini-14, even though it's better suited for home defense. Grab the gun that you're most comfortable with. And I think that's the one thing I learned, and I learned that really from using my tools. I use the tools that I'm comfortable with. You want to use the gun that you're comfortable with, because if you're not comfortable with the gun, everything about that gun is going to trip you up. A safety, it's here to keep you safe. When you're in a difficult situation, that safety could just trip you up, and you may not remember or how to disengage that safety, or you may forget about it. And your brain's not working in full capacity when you're in a stressful situation. It's very focused. So I told him, I said, you know what, just grab the gun you're most comfortable with. You're better off. And this gun actually, I'm not advocating 22 LR for home defense. Don't quote me on that. But the nice thing about this gun is it doesn't really have a safety. I mean, it has the safety that you should have, just a half cock. It's not going to interfere with your using the gun. You know, you take this gun, it's just going to work. It just goes. And I'll tell you something about this gun. I've put through in the last 2 years, I don't know, probably a few thousand rounds. I mean, yes, you do get occasionally the 22 LR doesn't fire, but that's the round's fault, not the gun. But does it jam? I would say about never. The only time it does jam is when you have people who, like, they're shy. I call it like the shy shooter. They pull it up, but they don't, instead of pulling it up all the way, they pull it up like halfway, and the round doesn't get ejected. The new round gets pushed in, and then you have double round. And then you gotta like knock it out or use a screwdriver. So that can happen. But other than that, it's just so reliable, and it's so beautiful, and it's so accurate that I can tell you, my daughter was 17 at the time. I gave her this gun the first time, and she just put it on target. I think it was about 70 feet away. We were shooting a 3-inch target disc. Listen, this is New York. For us, that's a big deal. She was able to regularly hit that 3-inch target just with this gun the first time she picked it up. So, so to me, that's fantastic. It's funny, but she has this inherent, some people have like this, and I find like an inherent handiness, like they can pick up a tool and work with it, and that's the way she is. So I find it actually with her as well, with the gun, it kind of carries over with that, and she's comfortable with that. I'll just show you, let me just see if I can find the rounds, just 1 second. And just to show you, actually, this is the one I bought a case of, and I'm so happy I bought a case of these American Eagles. These were 5 cents a round. And the funny thing is they're packaged beautifully, beautifully. I mean, it's like, I'll show you. And with the plastic. These rounds, if you can see it, these are just lead on the top. And they're fine. Look, for just shooting targets, it's fine. I don't know if there's really a reason to spend more than that. These, I think I spent 8-9 cents a round. I'm trying to remember what brand it is. And they just come in a box like these. And these are, I think, copper covered. And I'll tell you, these hit a lot harder. Or maybe it's the same speed, but the copper is keeping it together. Because I can see on my steel targets, these indent it more than just the lead ones. So basically that's it. The point is, there's really not a lot to modify on this gun. Just add the Skinner sight, the leather, the hammer expander I prefer. And if you need more details which one I use, just post it and I'll look it up, see which aperture I used. But I think the smaller the aperture, the smaller you're looking through. And it's just fantastic. So let's just put this away. And so I've learned a lot on that gun, and after using that for a while, I felt that I should have something really for home defense, or, you know, I still haven't really figured out my home defense. I'm still thinking, I do like the 410 shotgun because of the low recoil, which lets you put like really many follow-up shots without the gun moving or without having to deal with that recoil. I just felt that 12 gauge was a lot, especially in a more dense urban environment. So the point is this, yeah. So I got this, which I think is kind of like more of an offensive gun. You can offensive that it reaches out further. This is my Ruger Mini-14, and I'll give you a look at it. This is the New York legal version of it. So basically, you have the front sight. It's not screw on. It's legal because there's no handle grip. So the thing with New York, unfortunately, is you have to make your choice. Basically, either you want what they call the evil features, which is like a silent, I think, not a silencer. I don't think silencers are not legal at any point, but you could have a screw-on front, you could have a hand grip, and there are a couple of other features that you can have that really are the things you want. And, you know, look, if you were in Florida, you would buy an AR-15. I mean, I don't know if there's really a reason to buy this gun other than it's something that's legal in New York. I think AR-15 is better. I don't have to tell you why. It's obvious. But this gun is actually surprisingly nice, and I'm actually really happy with it. So the point is, I wanted a gun. I didn't like the idea in New York, when you have those evil features, you have to have a bolt-in magazine. And the problem with that is that you have to take the magazine, they physically bolt it in, and the only way to load that gun is through the ejection port. They have these like a special type of magazine type thing. It connects on, and you push the rounds into the ejection port, into the attached magazine. To me, that was just offensive. I don't want to be reminded of New York limitations every time I use the gun. I don't like it. I'm not interested in that. So I really would just like a gun that was designed and is being used the way it was designed. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to modify bolt-in magazines and whatever. So I got this, and if you need the exact model, I'll post it. I have a little strap on it, bulldog strap. I added onto it I added this. I'm having like I forgot this a mounting plate so I could put on my scope. And I also changed out the rear sight. This outfit, improved. I think it's more like the original M1 sight. This is it's a copy of the M1 Garand Action. This floating bulk, which I really like. I have to say, I really like the action here. It really works well, and it's nice. And what I've done with this gun is this. First of all, I've also gotten a scope, primary arm scope, and I'm not sure if this might have been a mistake. Maybe I should have gone with the red dot sight. This is pretty heavy, and it adds weight to the gun. What I did was I sent out the centerpiece here, which was also not a FFL piece. So I sent it out, and they added this longer magazine ejection part, an extended safety. This sticks out, easier to work with gloves. They put on, I don't know if you can see it, this bigger trigger, right? And oh no, the rail, I think I may have got them. I put this on. But this trigger is nice. It instead of being like a sharp line, there's a lot to grab here. And also, I had them do like a trigger job. So they took out basically I send in the trigger mechanism, and they grind down all the rough parts, because it's a lot of like cast parts, I understand. And so they grind it down, they make everything smooth, and they send it back to you, and they change the springs, and they reduce it, the trigger pull. I think it's about 4 pounds now, down from about 7, so that's pretty substantial. The other thing I did was, after I got everything back, I took apart the Garand mechanism very slowly, watching YouTube videos, and I just used something to anything that touched metal on metal, I ground it down just slightly. I shouldn't say ground it, I polished it. And then I cleaned it, and then I oiled it, and it's so smooth. It's so nice. I don't know if you can see it. So the only thing I would say is it's a very nice gun. It's 5.56. It's a little loud. 5.56 is supersonic. The recoil's not bad. It's just very loud. The other thing I would say is I have here's a magazine. We're limited to 10 in New York. hopefully the Supreme Court takes that up and gets rid of that limitation, which would make this gun even more amazing. Then you could have like 20, 30 round magazines. I think the only thing I would say is this is a gun that's, I think, very good for home defense. The rounds are good, and it's very accurate. There's more you can do to this to make it more accurate. You could add braces and things, but I think at some point it kind of is what it is, and I don't know if it's worth really improving it that much. But it's very accurate, and with the new sight, it's great. What I would say I don't like is, unlike the AR magazines, you kind of have to like jiggle this in, and like you have to, after a while you get used to it. You lean it the front in first, then you push it until it clicks. See, and then to arm it, you pull it, and then when you fire it, what happens is when it fires, the gases come back, and it pulls this out, and it kicks that one out, and then it loads the next one in, and then you fire it, clicks it in. Actually, when it goes off, it's so powerful sometimes that the round, when you're in the range where it's short, the round hits the ceiling and then like hits you in the head, and you're like, ah. But and there's things you could do. You could get a gas reducer, so you could adjust the amount of gas that's being pushed back, to push this back, so that it's not as hard and it won't throw the round out that far. I think what I did was I took it apart. I changed the spring to a stiffer spring, which is a good idea, so that this spring, when you're pushing it back, the spring is not letting this go back so easily, so that the gas, it's reducing the felt recoil. When the gas pushes back, it's pushing the spring, which is difficult, kicking out the round. And I have a buffer in there too. I think it's like the 1911 buffers. It's nylon, and it hits the buffer, so it's hitting the recoil. It's reducing the felt recoil, and then the last round it stays open, which is really nice. So you know when it's empty. So I think there are a couple of good modifications that can make this, I would call it as good as it can be. Is it an AR-15? No. Is it as accurate as AR-15? No. But look, you're in New York, and I will tell you, I really enjoy this in a way. I really like that Garand action. It's really good. It's really nice. And I bought tracer rounds. I actually have tracer rounds for this. I bought early in January 2019, and then I actually bought tracer rounds for my Henry, which I'll show you actually, because they're so much fun. Now my son can shoot this; it's fine. Would I give this him as a home defense weapon? I don't think so, because it's a bit too much with pulling it back. I mean, he could do it, but you have to go out and practice with this. Let me just see if I have those other rounds, and I'll show you that, and then we'll wrap it up. So I do have here, I found the green tracers for the Henry. They come in green or red, but they're expensive, man. I don't know. I think they're like 25 cents a round. So I mixed them in with the regular rounds because it gives you feedback. You could see where the round is going. For this, I found online, actually, I found tracer rounds that were mismarked. They didn't put the little dot on top. So I got them pretty cheap. I got them for like 30 cents a round. So I'm going to go. I'm upstate. We'll do a little shooting. I don't know if I can capture it because it's snowing outside. But in any event, I think these are two good guns. And I think the next gun I would consider is for home defense, something like the Henry Axe, which is a short shotgun. It has the 410. Not a lot of recoil, but certainly deadly, and we'll take it from there. So if I can get out, I'll include some footage of that. If not, I wish you the best. And just tune in and subscribe. So it is getting dark, but I was able to set up some targets out there, some old bottles, an old bowling pin, and I got the Henry loaded up with tracer rounds, green tracers. So hopefully you'll be able to see, and we'll take a couple of shots with that, and I'll show you how great it is here. The first one, you have to arm it like this. It's empty. You'll see the first round gets fed. Now it's hot. Okay, so let's see if we can see. I don't know how much you can see, but we'll try. I tell you, this is much more fun in the summer. We're shooting far out, so we'll go there. Okay, so let's go see. Let's hit the little bowling pin. I don't know. Let's see. Yep, hit. I think I hit the bowling pin. Let's hit the big target. Yeah, that cleaned it off. Good. That'll be for 5.56 also. Can't see all the bottles I put down. Let's see. Stand on it. Let's see. Let's see what else is there. So it's hitting exactly where you're aiming it at, which is fantastic. Now my targets are covered with snow. Huh. Let's go see. Perfect. Okay. So I've used up the Henry, and let's get the Ruger. So hopefully you can see with the Ruger. Yeah, I think you can see it. Actually, this is the 10-round magazine. It's got 5.56. You gotta put it in at an angle, push it till it clicks. Then what you do is, just to show you, pull the charging handle back. You see the spring is pushing up the round, and then when you let it go forward, it pushes it into the chamber. So now it's hot. We'll take a few shots. Get the safety off, and actually, I need my earmuffs, earplugs. Hold on. Okay, so we're back. I got my headset on. Let's take a shot at the red. I don't know if you could see in between the trees. You could see the red. That's made for 5.56. Okay, hold on. Let's aim. Get a good shot. That hit. Let's get the little bowling pin. Oh, that was fast. That's that. Okay. That's the difference. So much louder. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Take care.